Hi, everybody. Welcome to Stamping with Melva. I'm Melva Peters, and you can find me at stampingwithmelva.com. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in British Columbia, Canada. And today I wanted to show you how I made the rainbow cards that I shared as part of the training blog hop that I was in. These are going to be my thank you cards for the month of January. So if you place an order with me in January, these are the cards that you're going to get. Now, I have used the Rainbow of Happiness stamp set, which is quickly becoming one of my favorites from the January to June mini catalog. Surprising, because I'm not usually a rainbow kind of person, but I just really love these cards that I'm making. And this particular card is a little bit outside of my comfort zone in that I have used a lot of pretty bright colors for me. If you followed me, you know that I tend to use um, more neutrals, more regals kinds of colors. I'm not usually a bright color person, but of course, with rainbows, you actually have to do that. So I've also used the Stamparatus. And the reason I want to show you how to do this is a great way to be able to make a bunch of cards at once. If you need to make a stash of cards and then you can put some sentiments on them later, or if you have a bunch of birthdays coming up, or want to make ahead some birthday cards, this is a great way to do it. And it just made making these cards so much easier because I could get it all set up on my Stamparatus in advance, and then I was ready to go. And I quickly made 10 of these in preparation for orders next month. All right, so let me switch over to my desktop and I will show you how to make the card. Okay, so this is the card. Isn't it cute? These rainbows are just so adorable. And as I said, this is kind of outside of my comfort zone with the bright colors. I have used one of my favorite color combinations for the base. So this is Misty Moonlight with Bumblebee. Just really love that color combination. And then for the rainbow, I've used Polished Pink, Bumblebee, Misty Moonlight, and Highland Heather. And then added in, actually, I have used the dies with this. So this is the Rainbow of Happiness. So you get these stamps for the rainbow. If you wanted to add some details, there are these lined ones. What I really love is this sentiment that is a perfect size to go across the rainbow. And then different ones if you want raindrops, this little thank you, hearts, really pretty stamp set. And I love the font on this one. And then the dies that come with it. As I said, I'm only using this little cloud, but there are two different sizes of clouds. There are clouds that go together, and then you can use these dies to make rainbow pieces. So for me, I'm just using the cloud die from this bundle. And what I love is the thank you is small enough to fit onto one of the little clouds. Okay, so let me bring in my supplies. So I've got a piece of a Misty Moonlight that is 4 1/4 by 11. And I'm just going to bring my, gosh, I'm realizing how blurry this is, and I apologize for that. I'm not sure why it, oh, there we go, cleared up. Okay, so this is 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm scoring it at 5 1/2. And I will just take and fold that into the mountain or the raised score line. So this outside is where I scored, and on this side there is a little raised piece. So that's what I fold into. So that gives me my card base. And then I've got a piece of Bumblebee that is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4. Now I've already gone ahead, and I don't know that you can see, I've already gone ahead and embossed this using the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. I want to lose my little clouds that I've cut out. Okay, so that's going to be my first layer. And before I adhere this down, this is the crinkled white seam binding. And so we're just going to take and adhere this on to the bottom. So I just use some Stampin' Seal and wrap this around. It's about 1 inch from the bottom. Find my scissors. Wrap this around, and then we can add some Stampin' Seal, top and bottom. Should be enough to adhere this on. So we're just going to adhere this on. So that's your first layer. That's the easy part. We're going to add a faux bow, but I'll do that at the end. Okay, so that's the first piece. Now I've got two pieces of cardstock. This one is basic white, and I just want to make sure that I've got this. Yep. Okay, so that one is cut 3 1/4 inches by 3 1/4 inches, and then I have a piece of Misty Moonlight that is cut 3 3/8 by 3 3/8. So that will actually go on here, but I'm going to use the basic white to do my stamping. So let me just bring in my Stamparatus and I'll show you how I got this set up. All stuck together. Okay. So I've got a piece. So because this is a photopolymer stamp set, I've got my extra padding down. Don't forget that for photopolymer with your Stamparatus, you do need to use this extra foam pad. There just isn't enough cushion to be able to do it. Okay, so now I'm going to take, this is 3 1/4, and when you start to apply or position your stamps, make sure you put your piece of cardstock in a place that you know, so you know how to position it for each of them. So I've kind of positioned mine halfway between, so I've got it positioned in so that I can, this is repeatable for me. If you want, you can draw a little line. If I can find a pencil here, I could take and draw a little line on my piece of, I've got a piece of the small grid paper so that I know exactly where I want to put my stamp or my paper the next time I put it down. Now, okay, let me get this. I've actually gone ahead and already positioned these in place, but let me remove one and I'll show you. So this is the largest of my rainbows. I do need to shift that just a little bit. There we go. When I originally made these cards, I had them, this piece cut a little bit bigger. That's better. So that's positioned. So what I'm doing here is just positioning my basic white cardstock so that the rainbow will be in the middle. There we go. So it's pretty much in the middle, a little bit higher to the top than the bottom, but I'm going to put some embellishment in there. Okay. So you've got that one positioned. I'm just fussing with it, and I probably don't need to, but let me just, there we go. Make sure you use your magnets on this. That's better. Okay. Make sure you use your magnets so that this doesn't shift, because you're going to be changing this plate. Okay, so I've got my largest one done. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp it in polished pink. Now, there are only 4 of these rainbow pieces, so you can't do it exactly like a rainbow, but this is kind of matching the colors. So press it down and just make sure you go all over it. So there we go. So I've got my first polished pink line down. Now I'm going to turn this over. So that's the beauty of the Stamparatus. These lift straight up, these plates, and then they come off. And so now I'm going to take my second piece. So this is the next piece down. And in order to position this one on the plate, so I already had it in place, take it and put the stamp side down and just put it in roughly where you want it to go so that it fills that, and then press down on. And because I hopefully have my magnets in place, there we go. Shift a little bit. Make sure you have your magnets positioned. So this needs to just be in a little bit so that it holds it in place. Okay, so this one is going to be my bumblebee. So I'm just going to ink this up. And now it can come in and do your second one. Now, for the third one, I need to take this. This is my third largest of them. Actually, and I'm just going to position this here. I've already turned my plate over. And I'm just going to position that down. Just keeps lifting up a little bit. So let's just hold that in place like that. There we go. Now, this one is going to be Misty Moonlight. So I'm just going to take, let's bring this, and color my piece like that, and then bring it in and stamp it. Hold it down, get a good position. There we go. And now for the third one, which is going to be my Highland Heather, I'm just lifting off this, pull it straight up, turn it over, and we'll just make sure we've got this positioned how we want it. So this one will go and fill the inside like that. Once you've got these in position, you are set to go. And I'm not sure why this just keeps pulling this just slightly. My magnets just aren't in the right spot. Okay, so I'm putting my Highland Heather. And if you wanted to use different colors, you absolutely could, but these just were calling to me these colors. All right, so there we go. So now that you've got one done, these plates are in exactly the right position. So just leave them as they are, and then you can make as many of these cards as you, want to. So I'll just move my Stamparatus out of the way. I love to use my Stamparatus. It just really makes stamping so much easier. Okay, so let's cover up close up my ink pads now that I've got polished pink all over my hand. Okay, so the next piece we need to do, put a little piece of something. Oh, there we go. I've got my Misty Moonlight, and I'm going to stamp this. This is the Sending You a Rainbow of Happiness, and I'm going to stamp this around the top of in the polished pink one. So because this is photopolymer, you can actually adjust the size of this however you want. So all I did was to kind of push it into position where I wanted it, holding it roughly. So if you start with it on one side, then bring in your ink pad or your block and hold it down. So you can start to get it in position with your block like that, and then just bring in the other side of it until you get, that's not too bad. So you can actually adjust the sizing and spacing of it because they're photopolymer. You couldn't do this if this was a rubber stamp. And now you can get the Sending You a Rainbow of Happiness stamped, and I've done that in Misty Moonlight. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my stamp and seal and put this onto that layer of Misty Moonlight. This is now going to go on here, and I'm going to pop this up using dimensionals. One in the middle just because it's a fairly big piece of cardstock. You don't want the middle to sag. Okay, so this is now going to go right kind of close to the top, about a ½ inch or so down aligned. And now I've cut out two of the, I can get this, pick up this one, two of the clouds. These are the larger of the two clouds. And on one of them, I'm going to stamp, this is a really tiny little thank you. So I'm just going to stamp that on that cloud. You can hardly see that. And I'm going to use a dimensional on the back of that. So this is going to go on the right-hand side at the end of the rainbow. And I've already got a dimensional on the other one. And it's going to go on the other side. Okay, now I'm just going to do a faux bow. If you don't know what that is, it's just take another piece that's about 3 or 4 inches long of the ribbon. So this is the seam binding. And I'm just going to tuck it underneath the other piece that I adhered on and tie just a single knot. then if I can find my scissors, I'll just trim these ends off like that. That's what I call a faux bow. Just makes it easier so you don't have to tie a bow all the time. Okay, so that is almost done. So these are the iridescent rhinestones. So what could be more perfect than some iridescent rhinestones? They're kind of rainbow-like. And I just put 3 of these down at the bottom of the rainbow. So just kind of arrange them kind of 3 together like that at the bottom of the rainbow. Now the only thing left is for the inside of the card. Oops. Put that away later. Now what did I do on the inside of the card? I just put a piece of basic white cardstock. So this is cut 4 inches by 5 1/4. If you wanted to stamp on this, you absolutely could, but I'm going to leave this to write a thank you note to anybody who puts an order in. There we go. So that's the card. And as I said, if you wanted to make a bunch of these like I did, using the Stamparatus is a perfect way to get everything aligned, so that you can just get down to making a bunch of cards. And isn't that so cute? I just love the sentiment that goes across the rainbow. Okay, so I hope you give that a try. It's a great way to use your Stamparatus. If you're, lots of people buy the Stamparatus and then don't try to use it, don't really know how to use it. So I'd like to give you a bunch of ideas on how to use your Stamparatus. And if you check back on some of my projects, I've done a few things with my Stamparatus, including making a wreath. And I gave you the template on how to do that. So if you are interested, just search on my YouTube channel. And it was a wreath card using Eden's Garden suite. So it wasn't that long ago. I'm going to say it was in early December. So try your Stamparatus if you haven't used it for a while. Dig it out. It just makes it so much easier to kind of mass produce some cards if you need to do that. Okay, thanks for joining me, everybody. If you do have questions, I went through the measurements fairly quickly. You can hop over to my blog and find all of the written instructions and measurements for this card. And so I will put the link to my blog underneath this video. I'd love for you to subscribe if it's the first time you've joined and you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel. If you subscribe, you'll be notified when I post an upcoming video or when I go live. And I'd love for you to participate and join my channel. And if you haven't already, hop over to my blog and sign up for my newsletter and subscribe to my blog. And that way you'll get notified when I post on my blog as well. All right, thanks everybody. Check out this Rainbow of Happiness. I know you're going to love it as much as I do. Thanks for joining me. Happy stamping. Bye.